Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thanks, everyone, for taking some time out of your day to join us. My name is Susan Moore. I'm the Community Engagement Manager at IIBA, and I am joined today by two other folks, and hopefully you'll be able to see them soon. We are going to be talking about the upcoming changes to the ECBA, and so I presume that is why you have joined us. You are interested in learning more about what those changes are. I am going to introduce my two colleagues in just a moment. Let me give you some quick housekeeping. You guys are already doing a great job in chat. That's a great way for you to talk to each other and to talk to us. We'll also be dropping some links into that chat as we get through today's webinar. If you have questions, I'm going to ask that you put those into the Q&A box. Today is really about what questions you have. We're going to inform you, but we also want to know, what do you want to know about those upcoming changes? And some of you have already found the reactions, but our speakers can see that, and that lets them know that you are engaged. So please continue to use that. We are recording today's session. You will get a link to the recording, a link to some resources for ECBA, and I think also a link to a podcast that we did recently that will give you even more information about these changes. You'll get that in 24 hours after today's webinar. And with that, let me introduce our two speakers. So first, we have got Isabel, my colleague Isabel, who is the manager of certification programs and operations, and Colleen, who is our certification specialist today. All right, and they're going to do the talking. So Isabel, I turn it over to you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Susan, and a warm welcome to everyone. I see people signing in from all over. I'm in Toronto, so I see a couple of people who are in Toronto as well, too. I'm pleased to be here talking about ECBA and how it's evolved. We're going to take a look this time to do a little bit of unpacking. We're going to unpack all the details of ECBA with these three specific goals in mind. So what we're going to look at is we're going to make sure that we understand what's changed, know what's in and out of scope, and we're going to have access to resources to support the exam preparation. And that's going to be a really important piece of that that's going to come up towards the end. And as Susan mentioned, you're going to get links to that as well. So we have a packed agenda. You can see there's a lot of good information here that we're going to cover. We're going to go all the way from why ECBA changed to the shift in the exam and to everything you need to know about the new ECBA, and then of course the resources to support your journey. So why has ECBA changed? What was the need that facilitated this? Well, we know increasingly that business analysis professionals are expected to be job ready from day one. They're expected to contribute effectively. They're expected to produce actionable outcomes. Now, you may be seeing this already from where you work and in the industry, because I know we're hearing it. We're hearing it from hiring managers and industry leaders and practitioners. So then, what does this mean when we want to test for competence at this level? Well, it means that it requires a new way of thinking beyond the traditional knowledge recall. It means that if you're going to test someone at this foundation level and determine that they are competent, you must go beyond memorization and recall. And that's the shift. That's the shift from the what to how. It's from what, the recall of knowledge, to the how, the practical application. And you're going to hear a lot about that in the next 20, 30, 40 minutes or so. And through this evolution, the ECBA continues to align with the changing needs of today's business analysis professionals. It really is an important first step for those early in their careers, but also for those who are applying business analysis at any stage in their career. And so we knew that ECBA had to evolve. So in the next slide, we'll see that we really did move from theory to practice. And so that the new ECBA validates the practical real-world competence that's expected. And again, you're going to hear so much more about this, and it's just such, you'll have such good information that you can take away with you. So the real shift then was from what is business analysis to How do I do business analysis really well in real life situations? So a little bit about how we got there. How did we get there? There was a very robust and rigorous process that was put into this. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a summary. But it was a process that included a number of people, a number of stakeholders from around the world. So in developing the new exam, we engaged in a number of activities with our global community. This included, we had interviews with business analysis leads, with hiring managers, early career professionals, and other practitioners as well. We conducted a global practice analysis survey that then resulted in the new ECBA blueprint. And that's a blueprint that Colleen will describe for you in a little bit. We also used a third-party psychometrician who supported the survey design for us and also did the data analytics, and then facilitated the validation of results and recommendations by our subject matter experts. Our subject matter experts were really important to this process. They are the ones who were able to do the validation, and they really were an integral part of the process all the way through, step by step. So if we go on to the next slide, you can see that if you do want more details, as I said, I didn't go into a lot of details with this at this point, but we have details about the development process. And for those who want, we encourage you to listen to IIBA's recent Business Analysis Live podcast featuring Tyler Kenny, the IIBA Product Manager's certifications. So next we'll move into the details and practical side of the ECBA and the exam. So I invite Colleen to tell us about the transformative shift and so much more information that we'll be excited to hear.
Thank you, Isabel, and hello, everyone. Let's talk about the transformative shift in the exam. So as Isabel mentioned, building on the need for business analysis professionals to be job ready on day one, we have shifted the exam from a focus on recall of knowledge, that memorization piece, to application. So what that means is that the questions now require reasoning in real world contexts, and candidates will be reflecting on the situation and responding appropriately there with decisions that they're making about actions they would take in the situation. So it's not just about theoretical definitions. Appreciate the thumbs up on that. Wonderful. All right, we can move to our next slide. We're going to get interactive now. We have a poll for you. So we're going to ask you to respond to this polling question, which is a sample question of the new situation-based item type.
And the poll should be live now. I hope everyone can see that.
Yes, I'm seeing it on my screen. I hope you all are as well.
Okay, responses are starting to come in.
So exciting.
Yes, I love seeing this in real time. I will keep the poll open for about a minute just to give everyone a chance to read the questions and vote for their answer. And we've already got 50% or more of the attendees that are participating. So thank you.
Wonderful.
And we'll give it another 10 seconds or so. Thank you, everyone. We're about 70% participation. Few more answers, few more responses are coming in, and I'm going to close the poll now.
So drum roll, please.
All right, here
All
are our
right.
results.
Yeah, so most of you, 93%, answered B, which is the correct answer. You would want to collaborate with the stakeholder to refine and confirm the ambiguous requirement. And that makes sure that we're capturing and refining the needs elicited from our stakeholders. So taking a step back for a second, as you think about how you answered the question, you weren't recalling a passage from the BABCCM guide, for example. It wasn't about memorization. Likely, you put yourself in the shoes of that business analysis professional and you thought about what you would do in that situation. So that's an example of what we're doing with the situation-based item type. I love the thumbs up and the hearts. Keep it coming. And so that gets the candidate to think about a challenging situation and decide what they would do, and helps candidates prepare to be job ready on day one. So thank you so much for engaging with that. Let's turn now to what you need to know about the new ECBA. And in order to look forward into the future, it's helpful first to see where we have been and where we are. So this is the current exam blueprint that's still in place, that has an exam duration of 60 minutes. We have our 5 knowledge areas. We have an online remote proctored exam. We know we have 50 multiple choice knowledge-based questions. And we know that our key reference material is the BABCCM guide. Let's turn now to the new blueprint, which will be launching July 21st, 2025. And first, let's look at what's the same between the old and the new. So what is the same? We have 50 multiple choice questions. It is still online remote proctored, still based on content from the BABCCM guide. What's different? We have a stronger emphasis on the business analysis core concept model. You can see that there in the domains 4 through 9, which are the 6 core concepts of the BACCM. And within those 9 domains, so the first 3 being chapters of the business analysis standard, within those 9 domains, we have activity statements, which are key responsibilities for the business analysis professional at the foundational level. Now, you will receive links to the resource materials that go with this. You'll get a link to this blueprint as well as some other materials. So you'll see the activity statements on there. So rest assured as well, I know that a common question is, do I now have to read the entire BABCCM guide and the entire business analysis standard? The answer is no. We have a reference map that gives you the specific sections of each of those books to review and study from. So I believe I've covered everything on this slide, and we can move to the next one. So as I mentioned, the BACCM is core to, actually, let me go back to the previous slide. There was one other thing that's really important that I did want to say. So the exam duration has increased from 60 minutes to 75. And the reason for that is that we have those situation-based items now, and they do have a larger word count. So to give candidates a lot of time to read and reflect, to give you sufficient time, we have increased that exam duration. And I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. Okay, now we can move forward. Thank you, Tiffany. So as we know, the business analysis core concept model, the BACCM, is a conceptual framework for business analysis, and it encompasses what business analysis is and what it means to those performing business analysis tasks, regardless of your perspective, your industry, your methodology, or level in the organization. As we know, there are the 6 core concepts: change, need, solution, stakeholder value, and context. And each concept is fundamental to the practice of business analysis, and all the concepts are equal and necessary. So no single core concept is more important than another. So the key takeaway here for the exam is that the BACCM is a conceptual backbone for the exam. It does build the domains that we looked at there, where we're dedicating a domain to each core concept. So candidates must not just know the core concepts and be familiar with them, but also think about how they interact and how you would apply them in different situations. So a takeaway here is to work from the BACCM early in the learning process, whether you're studying on your own or you're working with a training partner in a course, and think about real-world situations and reflect on how the 6 core concepts influence actions. Let's move to our next slide. And whether you are a candidate or you are supporting candidates in preparation for the exam, it's important to note the priorities for content coverage. So we talked about focusing on the BACCM and foundational mindset concepts. The foundational mindset will come from those 3 chapters of the business analysis standard, which make up the first 3 domains on the new blueprint. We are still covering information from the BABAC guide. So as we had with the old exam, we have coverage of the business analysis tasks, coverage of 30. We have 29 underlying competencies, and we have 20 techniques that we are covering on the new exam blueprint. So when studying or developing training materials, it's also important to emphasize, again, that real-world application, thinking about contextual examples and situations, and reasoning over basic recall. Okay, we can move to the next slide. So this is just another look at what's changed. So the previous approach was with the tasks to really focus on the purpose and definition. And now with the new exam, we are dipping into the description and the elements for the tasks as well, because those build out application of those tasks. The other thing that we've heard from folks from time to time is that when we're looking just at recall, sometimes we're assessing something rather obscure in isolation, a specific passage from the BABAC guide, for example. And we're really moving in the direction of assessing concepts within situational context to really focus on understanding and not just recall. Again, as I mentioned, the previous exam worked from the BABAC guide solely. And now we are drawing from the standard, the business analysis standard, the BABAC guide, as well as real-world situations. So professionals who may volunteer to write exam questions will be tapped into what's happening in the real world, and that will fuel the exam content. Also with the task order, we are not staying with a fixed order of tasks. We are rather responding to what we need in the moment, whatever meets the moment for the situation and the decision that needs to be made. And here's a key point with the techniques. With the previous exam blueprint, there was detailed coverage of techniques, including elements, so that middle portion of every technique that really got into detail. With the new exam, we are focusing on 20 techniques, and those are listed on the blueprint, and we are not including the elements. So the focus is on the purpose, the description, and the usage considerations. So that really taps into the understanding piece of those techniques. At this time, I'll turn it back over to Isabel for an overview of resources to support the journey.
Thank you, Colleen. I have to turn my sound back on there. Yeah, let's go to the next slide and take a look at the resources. So we've got a lot of resources that have been developed and created especially for the new exam. And I know that we've got a nice list here, and Colleen did talk a bit about the exam blueprint, but let me just go through them and highlight some of the key factors and some of the key pieces of each one of these resources. So the exam blueprint, as you saw with Colleen, does have all the information about the exam in terms of the duration, the type of exam it is. It also has, as she mentioned, the 9 domains, the activity statements, key responsibilities, and it identifies and looks at the coverage of the techniques and the underlying competencies as well. That's really important because those are questions that we've gotten along the way in terms of, will the new exam still have some of these features, some of the content areas that the current exam has, and the exam blueprint will give you all that information. Closely in hand with the blueprint is the reference map, and as Colleen mentioned, that does have all the information for you about the business analysis standard as well as the BABAC guide, so that you can see exactly the areas that you need to study and look at and read, because as Colleen said, do you really need to read everything on the BABAC guide and the business analysis standard? A question we're often asked. The reference map will help you with that. Sample exam questions. You got a flavor of one sample exam question from the poll, but we've got many more for you to really give you an idea of what the exam questions are going to look like, and what you need to consider when you're looking at it through the practical lens. The business analysis, the ECBA handbook. The ECBA handbook is the document you might want to go to first off, simply because it does identify and show you the 6 steps to certification, all the way from purchasing the exam to how to schedule once you're ready to take the exam. So a lot of good information there. And of course, we've got the business analysis standard for you as well too. Lots of great information there as it serves as the foundation of professional business analysis for the exam. And it also provides the foundational references for the first 3 domains. The BABAC guide, that I'm sure many of you are very familiar with, has all that information that, again, Colleen did reference. You've got the tasks in there, you've got the underlying competencies and the techniques. But again, all of that information you're going to look at a little bit differently than you would today. The IIBA Guide to Online Remote Proctored Exams is something that you should read as well too. Sometimes that's one document that's forgotten about, because it seems like it's very easy to get onto your exam and go through the proctored exam experience. And even though it's a fairly seamless process, it's really good to know how to be prepared ahead of time. So for example, you want to be sure that you understand the technology, that you have the proper identification, that you know how to set up your room. So there's some very important things on that as well. Finally, we do have the ECBA course guidance that we have created for our training partners that really was designed specifically to support our training partners delivering courses aligned with the ECBA. And so if you are a training partner, we encourage you to access this helpful resource. You probably have access to it already, and it is on your portal. But if you aren't sure where it is, please do reach out. But it is a very good piece of resource that is useful for you. If you're a candidate working on to earning your ECBA, we encourage you to consider registering with one of our training partners for maybe a course or a study group or a study program that will be helpful for you as well. So there you have it, a lot of great resources. They're all listed on our website. And at the end of this, within, I believe, 24 hours, we are going to give you access to this so that you can look at it directly. All right. A couple of key takeaways. So the key takeaway that I really want to stress is that even though we do have a new exam, it is familiar. It is a familiar foundation. We're still aligned with the BABAC guide, the 30 tasks. It's still a foundational exam meant for early career transitioners, and anyone wanting to add business analysis skills to their portfolio. And it's still 50 questions. But of course, the questions are different. There's a deeper reasoning, and the deeper reasoning is expected. So this is still your opportunity to deliver meaningful value to the industry and to the workplace. And one more final slide before we break into the Q&A. Just in summary, ECBA is designed to reflect what practitioners and professionals do in practice. Candidates are encouraged to focus on the application and the BACCM that Colleen referenced. And studying for this exam is about growing your mindset and the foundation you'll take with you. So it's really not just about passing an exam. It's really about understanding and having that business analysis mindset. So it's evolved. The payoff is greater impact and relevance. And it's an alignment to align, apply, and elevate. And on that note, I'm going to pass it over so that we can open up the Q&A.
Q&A has been very busy. as you might imagine. So I am excited that we have left a good chunk of time because I think there's a lot of different questions, and I'm also seeing some themes, by the way, of questions. And so here's what I'm going to ask of our audience today. If you have questions, please put them into the Q&A box. Sometimes that chat moves very fast and I can't go back and find questions easily, so put them there. I've got the upvote feature turned on today. So as you look through the questions in the list, if you have the same question, give it an upvote because I like to take them in the order that you want to have them answered. So that upvote helps me. Okie doke. I am going to sort, and here we go. So Dan's question is, how does the ECBA, how does the ECBA compare to CBAP? Now that wasn't, and by the way, the CBAP, the CCBA, none of the other certifications are changing. So if anybody has any questions, none of what you hear today is impacting those certifications. But for those that might be unfamiliar with the ECBA and the CBAP, how are they different? And Isabel, I'll ask you that question first.
Sure, I'll start off with that. They are different. They're different exams. So the ECBA is an entry-level certificate for early career professionals. It is the foundation. Once we get to looking at the CBAP really is for those who have 5 or more years experience. They're very experienced in this. And you can even see in terms of how the exam has been developed. So we do have the ECBA with multiple choice questions as well as situational. But once you get to the CBAP, you're going to have case studies and a lot more complex situations and case studies that you have to build upon.
All right. Yeah, thank you for that. What is the recommended study time for, and so let's, again, because I think part of our audience is also maybe not familiar with the ECBA. And so some of the questions we're getting today, I think, are just ECBA questions, not necessarily questions about the new ECBA, which is changing. So I'm going to assume that this question is part of the former, which is just the ECBA. What is the recommended study time for the ECBA? Do you guys have a sense of that?
I can take that one if you like.
Yeah,
oh, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, Colleen.
Yeah, so most candidates complete the preparation within 3 months of purchasing the exam, and that will depend on how you study. If you're taking a course with a training partner, your time may vary as well. And we do encourage candidates to participate in study groups and discussions with the community. That can only add to your learning. So in my book, it's less important how long you take as much as the quality of the studying and really building that foundation that you can take with you. But on average, about 3 months from the time of purchase.
All right. Thanks, Colleen. All right. Our next question. So Paul actually has 2 questions, and I might be able to provide some backup on one. On the IIBA site, there's a list of endorsed education partners. LinkedIn Learning is listed there. What course is appropriate? Sorry, my Q&A is bouncing around. For the updated ECBA exam. So question 1, what LinkedIn Learning course would be appropriate for the updated ECBA? Question 2, now that the ECBA is moving towards practical over memorization, will there be a name change from the ECBA to something that shows we are job ready? What?
I can answer the second part. There will
Yeah, I
not
was
be a
gonna.
name change. There will not be a name change.
That's right.
So we're keeping the same name, but we're recognizing the evolution of the exam and the certification. So everybody, whether you've already got your ECBA or you're working on earning it, whether you earn it before we launch the new exam or after, we're all part of a network. We're all part of a community that is committed to the evolution of business analysis.
Gotcha. For the part one, what LinkedIn Learning course would be appropriate for the new ECBA exam? I know that you guys have been talking to training partners for a little bit, helping them to get themselves ready. I don't know that we can specifically answer what might be available on LinkedIn Learning, but Isabel or Colleen, I think it is true that we have been letting the endorsed education providers know about this for a little bit. True?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay.
We've been working with them for several months. Actually, we first communications probably started about a year ago. And they're all different, and we have all their information on our website. So it really depends on what you're looking for, how you want to study, how long you want to study for in terms of which one to select. But we've endorsed all of the ones that are on our website. So it is, I do encourage you to go visit that on our website.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Our next question is from Bianca. And we have a couple of these questions I noticed in Q&A. What is the score needed to pass the exam to obtain the certification? Now, this is another one of those questions, which is just ECBA related versus new ECBA related. The answer to new ECBA, well, it's probably the same answer, but go ahead, Isabel.
Yeah, yeah. So we don't provide as passing score. So the first part of the question is, what is the score? We don't provide a score for any of our exams. In fact, anytime you complete an exam, you usually get a pass or a fail. Now, however, because this is a brand new exam, you're not going to get your results right away. So if you've had other exams from IIBA, or your colleagues have, they get their result immediately. Because this is a new exam, that's not going to happen immediately. It will go through a passing standard study to define the score required to pass the exam. So once we have a statistically sufficient number of candidates who have taken the new exam, we'll have a panel of subject matter experts, and we'll have a few other behind the scenes processes that have to come together to build this. And once that's done, we will set up automatic scoring. But right now, what we're anticipating is that for those who write the new exam as of July 21st, they will start to get their exam results October 6th. And then right after that, automatic scoring will be set up, and it'll be just a status quo.
And I saw in the chat someone had asked about that kind of large time window. It does sound like a long time, but it allows for the rigorous process that we need to determine that we have a fair passing score for all of our candidates.
Yes, and I was actually well, that is Michelle's question.
Yeah.
Do you really not get the results? And yes, and the reason for that is because this is a new exam, which they've got to build enough responses in order to kind of know what the cut rate is on that, if I'm using the term correctly. So that is not, again, that doesn't impact any other certifications. It's just this one because there is a new version of it. So thank you also for that question, Michelle. All right. Our next question is from Thalia. Is ECBA suitable for a junior BA? And Isabel, you gave a couple of audiences that might think about ECBA, and if you want to talk about those again.
Correct. Yes, it is suitable for a junior business analyst professional, for sure. It is suitable for anybody who's new to business analysis, as well as anybody who's transitioning careers, as well as anybody who works with business analysis in other types of professions, and they want to bring this into their portfolio.
I know even internally at IIBA, we've had folks who don't have a business analyst title, but who want to know more about it. And so they've taken it. So it really is a very broad audience that this is suitable for. All right. And our
Because
next question.
the skills are so important, right? They're so important in so many settings.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I know we've had some folks from our sales team take it and our customer experience team, and there's a lot of transferability in those business analysis skills to the work that they do. All right, David has our next question. Are all questions situational, or is there some portion that are still definitional? What's the term used? If so, approximately what percentage?
Yeah, I can answer that one. So there are about two-thirds of the questions are situation based and 1/3 are the standard multiple choice. Now, when I say that, they're all covering beyond recall, but that's really about whether the question structure has 2 to 4 sentences setting up a situation for you to respond to, or is it a 1-sentence question? So when we say situation based, it's like 2 to 4 sentences. Standard would be a 1-sentence question, more like what you're used to on most multiple choice questions, but they are all moving in the direction toward deeper understanding and reasoning rather than recall.
All right, thank you. Our next question is, I purchased the ECBA exam some time ago without realizing that it would be changing. If I take the exam before July 21st and do not pass, do I get a free retake before July 21st? My goal is to take the exam. Oh, Q&A, stop bouncing. For the first time later this week. Any thoughts? And I feel like we have a very good answer for that question. Tiffany, if you want to bounce to the next slide. Let's
Yes,
talk
I
about
can
that
do
for a
that.
moment.
Yes. That's a lot of details can be found. All the details can be found at IIBA.org/rewrite offer, which will answer specifically the questions about the rewrite, the timing, the eligibility, all that stuff. So encourage you, and I'll drop this in the chat to make it easy to access.
I just dropped it. Yeah.
Oh, look at that. We're in
So if
sync.
anybody else is in that same boat, you want to take the current version, you're concerned about what might happen if you don't pass, there is a great offer. So click on that link, go out, and you can learn more about it. And thank you for that question, because that was, we definitely wanted to make sure that you guys knew about that. Let's see. Christopher has, well, we've got, okay, hang on here. Okay, so I'm going to scoot down. Luigi has the next question. We've had this question a couple of times. Even on the podcast, we had this question. Do you intend to align CCBA and CBAP certification following the same approach to ECBA?
So there's no impact on the other certifications at this time as a result of this rebuild. This is strictly for ECBA.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Next question. Sneha asked, can I buy an exam voucher now and give the exam with the new blueprint later in July, or do I need to buy the voucher then? So I think the question is, if she gets the voucher today, can she apply it to the new version of the ECBA? And Isabel, you're shaking your head yes, so I'll let you answer.
Right. I was just thinking, yeah. So if she purchases the exam today, she will end up writing the new exam. However, she will end up writing the new exam, but we do have scheduling that we will be opening in the near future. She may not be able to, as of today, schedule into August or September at this point.
Can I say that back to you to make sure that I'm clear
Yeah.
on that? Okay, so if today I go out and I purchase the ECBA exam, right now what I'm able to schedule is the current version of the exam. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Okay. So if I want to take the new version, I have to that scheduling will open up on July 21st?
No, it will open up before that.
Okay.
It will open up in the very near future, as a matter of fact. And
Okay.
then you will be alerted to the fact that if you buy the exam today, you will be writing the brand new exam, so that you're aware. Because we do know that not everybody is aware. We've been doing a lot of communicating on our website through podcast and everything, but we are aware that not everybody knows that there's going to be a change in the exam. Did you want to add to that, Colleen, at all?
I think the other piece to keep in mind is when you're scheduling to take it, because once we get to July 21st, it's going to be the new exam. So keep that scheduling piece in mind, and that's more important for the old versus new than the day that you buy it right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Sneha, if you want more information, just let us know. You can drop it into the chat. Okay.
Yeah, the other thing I'll add as well too is that if this is something that you're looking at doing over the next week and you want to know when you can schedule and when and you will get the new exam as of July 21st, but please do reach out to our customer support folks as well too at info@iiba.org, because they're always there, they're in the know, and they're always there to help.
And I'm going to drop that email address. If anyone has questions or wants more details, you can reach out to our customer experience team. They are ready to answer your questions on this. David has our next question. Which 20 of the 50 techniques will be in focus? I think that answer will be in the blueprint.
Yes, you are correct, Susan. It is on the blueprint. So I could read them off right now, but we want to leave time for as many questions as possible. So you will get that blueprint. You'll have that list.
Yeah, and actually there's so we're sharing the slide that includes the links to all of the resources. So you guys will get those resources. Yeah, thanks, Tiffany. You will get this, which gives you direct links to all of the resources. And the blueprint is where you can find not only the techniques, the knowledge areas, and the breakdown of all of that. So that blueprint is a really important guide that will help you to prepare for this. So thank you for that question, David. Our next question is Michelle. And I think we might have answered your question. If I took the test in February, March, and need to do a rewrite, is it free with the offer if I do it before 7/20 and sign up for it between 6/1 and July 18th? It was still showing a cost in the cart. Okay. I'm wondering if Michelle's question needs to go to our customer experience team to help with that.
Perhaps, yeah, given the time window. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Michelle, I am dropping the customer experience email address so they can help you with that. Now, we've gotten this question a couple of times. This is interesting. Christoph asked, will there be a new certificate for the new version of the exam? Will it be a new look so that people can distinguish I did version 1 versus the next version?
Yeah, so similar to the previous question about whether there would be a name change, there's not a new certificate planned. However, I know that our wonderful marketing team is always spicing things up. So they may have something visually that you'll love to look at, but it is the same certificate name, and we're all part of that network.
Okay. All right. So you heard it, Tiffany.
We are always spicy, but it is going to be the same certificate. It has the same, weight, and yeah, it'll be the same. So, but yeah, do stay tuned for more spicy things from us. Always.
Excellent. We love it.
Looking
All right,
forward
Rohit.
to it.
Yeah, I know. Rohit has our next question. As you mentioned, to use real life examples for situation based in that case, what should a new graduate do? I am right now enrolled in a business analysis program. So new graduate from school, maybe doesn't have the work experience. How might they apply these real life, or how might they answer these real life situational based questions? Isabel, do you want to take it?
Yeah, I'll start. I'm sure Colleen has stuff to add to this. Well, it's always a bit of a challenge, but you've got a great network with IIBA. You've got chapters and communities everywhere. I would say definitely, go into some study groups, talk to people, network with colleagues who have some experience, and just really, when you're even reading material from the Business Analysis Standard or the BABAC Guide, take that material, ask questions around it, and continue to network wherever in the world you are, or virtually, of course. It doesn't have to be wherever in the world you are, but continue to network with your peers. Would you like to add to that, Colleen?
Yeah, what I would add is that if you study the reference sections on the reference map, then when you get into the exam, the situation-based questions are going to put you in the shoes of the business analysis professional. And there's nothing outside of the universe of the question on the exam that you need to draw in, aside from the knowledge that you've gained from the reference materials, if that makes sense. So if you study those sections and you prepare, when you get in there, the situation-based item is going to kind of guide you in thinking and reflecting and arriving at an answer. So don't think that you have to pull in lots of other experiences necessarily into having a successful exam.
And I think I have taken the CBAP, and I know that those kinds of questions, which there's a different word that you guys use for CBAP questions. You call them scenario-based.
Scenarios, case studies. Yeah.
Case studies.
And those, I think, really do require you to have some detailed experience in those areas, but also you're required to have more experience to even sit for that exam, where these are situation based. So they're not looking for you to have done those, done those situations yet, but be able to apply what you've learned.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well
okay.
put.
So Rohit, hopefully that helps. All right. Our next question is from Ovi, and I think, Colleen, you covered this earlier. What is the format for the ECBA exam? Just multiple choice alone?
Right. So for the new exam, it is all multiple choice. It's 50 multiple choice questions. And as I mentioned, it's about 2/3 are situation based, where they have that longer situation that's described, and then you answer the question. And then 1/3 are what we call standard multiple choice, where it's just a one sentence question, and then you're responding. And they all have the 4 response options that we're used to.
All right. Thank you. Next question here is from Kadri. Am I correct in understanding that the new reference guide and maybe some of the other reference materials are not yet available? If so, when will they be made available? I think everything is available. Everything that is ready is available for the new exam, right?
Yes. And you can get to it right now with that link to the website. You don't even have to wait 24 hours to look at the reference map and the blueprint, but we did put it all together in that one slide for you that you'll also get in 24 hours.
All right. Thank you for that question, Kadri. Our next question is from Felicia. Do you have to purchase the exam to get access to all the study materials, or can you obtain all the study materials prior to purchasing and taking the exam? Colleen? Or Isabel?
I'll start. So if we can go back to the references again, most of the references are available exactly as Colleen just mentioned on our website. You can go into the new ECBA page and you can see the, you can see all of these, most of these there. So you'll see the blueprint, reference map, exam questions. You'll see the ECBA handbook, the IIBA guide to online remote proctored exams. You'll also have access to the business analysis standard that you can start with right away. And if you're a member of IIBA, you'll be able to access the BABAC guide as well. So really, you'll have access to everything that you need to get you started.
Excellent. Okie doke. Our next question is, let's see, is from Lizette. If you don't pass the exam when you take it, is there a waiting period before you can retake the exam for the ECBA?
There isn't. The only period of time that you have to wait is you have to wait about 24 hours once you schedule. But other than that, there's no waiting period of several weeks or anything like that for the ECBA.
But
All
we
right.
do recommend taking some time to revisit the references, really think about the material to put you in a good place to retake.
Good point. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Our next question here. Let's see. How many chances will you have to pass the exam? I know sometimes with other certifications, you may be limited to so many attempts in a year or something like that. Do we have anything like that on the ECBA?
One of the things we do have on the ECBA is that when you purchase the exam, you have up to 6 months to take the exam. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're studying, you're preparing, and you're thinking about when you want to schedule it. And then if you don't take it within the 6 months, then what happens is you have to purchase it again, and then you get another 6 months.
And as far as attempts for ECBA, there's no limit on how many times you can attempt it, right, Isabel?
That's correct. Yeah. Now there are on some of our other exams and our certification exams, but not on the ECBA. But as Colleen mentioned, it really is good to wait between your tries, because we have seen, sometimes people will take 2, 3 in a row and there just hasn't been enough time. And at the same time, you don't want to leave it a year later, because then you've really, you've forgotten some of the stuff that you've studied, and you don't have the same mindset anymore. But really a couple of months, 3 months or so of studying and taking the exam is a good thing to follow.
All right. Our next question is from Felicia. Do you have to take the ECBA exam before attempting any of the other IIBA exams? And do they have to be taken in any order?
Yep. Nope, there's no prerequisite. All of our exams are unique, standalone. Now there is career progression though. So if you're brand new and you want to take the ECBA, you know right away that we've got CCBA and CBAP as well, which are other certification exams that are dependent on the amount of experience that you have.
All right. I'm bouncing around a little bit in the questions. I love the questions that are more like word problems. Maybe that's just the business analyst in me. Victoria has one of those questions. She's already purchased and scheduled the exam for August, but she would like to change the date to July 19th. Her question is, if I reschedule the exam to July 18th, will I be writing the new exam? I think the question is, no, or the answer is no, she'll be taking the current version of
That's
the
correct.
exam.
Right.
And then also, if I don't pass the exam, she says, will I get a voucher? She might be referring to the rewrite offer. And will the voucher be for the new exam? Yes, she's a member. There's many points to that one. So definitely, if you reschedule and take it before the 21st, you're taking the existing exam. If she's taking the existing exam, then you qualify for the rewrite offer, but you don't have much time. If you,
Right. So you might want to back up
Sure.
that bus a little bit further
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
into the beginning of July or middle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to give yourself time, because there is going to be that delay between when you can reschedule again. So hopefully, Victoria, that answers your question. All right. Da, 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 da. I think we had at least one EEP, I think, who has joined us today. But if you are an EEP, give us a thumbs up. But David is asking, when looking for a training provider, what should I look for in course contents to be sure they are training for the new ECBA?
I think it's something you can ask them as a customer, as you're evaluating options. Just check in with them and make sure that they are aligning their materials with the new ECBA.
And I think that being an endorsed training partner will also be something that you'll want to look at. But I do think you'll need to ask. So I think that's a good point. How their preparation course if it's aligned with the new one, just because I'm sure they have been working hard to get their courses updated. So I think you'll probably have to ask. Thanks for that question, David. Okay. Let's see. I know we've got we've got about 6 minutes left. And I know we've got a couple of more questions about who was the ECBA right for. We've answered that question previously. I think ECBA is great, particularly if you don't have any business analysis experience, because you're going to be learning the language of business analysis. You're going to be learning some foundational techniques and things like that. So, so don't let those situational questions scare you off, because they're not looking for, they're not scenario based. They're not going to give you a case study and ask you to apply your knowledge.
Yeah.
The other thing I would add to that is it's in some ways situational based are easier than total recall and memorization, because then you don't have to think, where did I see that fact that, the 3 sentences and, can I list the 5 items or whatever? You don't have to do that anymore. You actually have a really simple situation that you're probably familiar with in any business environment, and then you just have to think about it through business analysis eyes.
Right. We're actually giving you more information to work with to kind of work through the problem, almost like a math problem.
Yeah. Where before you really had to memorize exactly what the book said. So this gives you a little bit more leeway in how you might answer that. Let's see.
There's a question from Catherine. I don't know if we got that one, Susan.
I don't see it. Where do you?
With
Yeah.
taking the older version before July 21st, will that allow us an immediate result? And I think that was kind of covered, but if we want to just clarify that one for Catherine, then yeah, since we have a few minutes.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
the short answer is yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. And that is a good one. Just to clarify, if you take the current version before the 21st, you will get an immediate answer. So thanks. And I feel like there was another question from Michelle. Is there a benefit to taking the old versus the new test?
Well, you can look at, what's going on in your life this summer, logistically, of course, but we feel really good about how the exam has evolved, really focusing on meeting the moment with what's the demand from day one that you're expected to contribute from day one. However, the exam that's currently in place has value as well. And it's really important to know and recall the knowledge in the BABCCM guide, because that is the foundation for applying it. So they both have value. Think about what makes the most sense for you at this time. And you can always reach out to us as well.
Yep. Here's an interesting question from Mercy. Apart from the study partners, is it possible to study for ECBA on IIBA's website or Knowledge Hub directly? And I think you gave a couple of different ways that people could study for this. You don't just have to use a training partner. Some of our chapters have study groups, and that gives you an opportunity to learn with others. You can also do self-study.
Yeah, and our product team is developing an additional resource that's like a learning journey for candidates, and we'll have more information released on that soon, but that will also be something available to you.
Yes, there's good stuff coming for learning for the new version of this. Let's see, we have 2 minutes left. We've had a couple of questions about exam fees. Now, we did roll out some ECBA changes to fees and all of that a little earlier in the year. Isabel, maybe you want to talk about, that, what changed, and does any of this impact the fees for the
Yes.
ECBA?
Certainly, one of the things I can say is that Once July 21st hits, people will be able to then schedule for the new exam. They won't be able to take the exam on that day, but they can take it a few days later or a few months after that. We don't have any of the exam fee information up yet, but we will at one point have it available for you, and you certainly will know once you go to purchase it whether there's been any changes or not.
All right. And so we might, as we're preparing some follow-up materials, also just point them to exam cost information. All right. Well,
Yes.
you
I can
guys
put
have,
that in chat for right now. If anyone's
oh,
interested in
perfect.
current fees, I can drop the link in our chat for
Yes.
those questions.
And I will also put the rewrite offer link into the chat. And I think we're going to wrap up because we are at the end of our time together. So we want to thank everyone. You have had fantastic questions. These were exactly
Really
what
wonderful.
we
Yeah.
were hoping
Yeah,
to get
yeah,
today.
exactly.
If you have other questions that we did not answer today, info@iiba.org. They are ready to take your questions and get back to you with those responses. Don't forget, we recorded today's session, so you're going to get a link to the recording. You'll get a link to all of the materials that are available for the new version of the certification, but you can also find the existing stuff on our website, and you'll get a link to the podcast. Colleen, Isabel, thank you.
Thank you so much. This was
Yeah, thank
wonderful.
you.
Yeah. Thanks everybody for joining us today. Best of luck on your ECBA journey. So we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.